I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Viral Shah from Prabhudas Lilladher Private Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all the participants to the 1Q FY21 results conference call of Ashoka Buildcon. We have with us Mr. Satish Parakh, Managing Director of the company, Mr. Paresh Mehta, Chief Financial Officer of the company. We will commence the call with the opening remarks from Mr. Parakh to give an overview on company's performance. This will be followed by a Q&A. Now I will request Mr. Parakh to begin with his opening remarks. Over to you, sir, and thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you all to our earnings conference call for the quarter ended June 30th, 2020. I have with me on call Mr. Paresh Mehta, our Chief Financial Officer. We hope that all of you are staying safe and healthy during these unprecedented times. To start with, I'll initially brief you on the industry updates, followed by company's performance during the quarter gone by. The global economy is witnessing challenges arising due to COVID-19 pandemic. And the road infrastructure is not isolated. The pandemic, the ensuing lockdown, has adversely impacted sector, primarily attributed to halting of construction activities across the country, lack of availability of labor, stoppage of toll collection, amongst others. However, with the relaxation in lockdown restrictions, the construction activities have resumed at major project sites while following social distancing norms and health and hygiene measures. The operations are ramping up gradually across the sector. Economic activity has started to pick up pace, with toll collections also beginning to limp back to normalcy. Toll revenues across the sector have gradually revived to reach around 80-85% levels of pre-COVID levels, led by improving commercial traffic. Currently, the sector is facing multiple headwinds in terms of lower execution, increased liabilities, liquidity crunch, and many other. The construction highways saw a close to 40% dip in construction in terms of lane kilometers compared to corresponding period of last year. Kilometers per day last fiscal, the national highway construction slowed down to 21 kilometers per day in the present fiscal till the end of July. Historically, Q4 of every year, and particularly the months of March and April, are the months of highest award activity, when various government departments try to achieve their full year's target. The pandemic and the ensuing lockdowns in these months impacted the order activity significantly. The increasing concerns on account of change in government's focus from road construction has been clarified by the ministry by setting up an ambitious target of 60 kilometers per day highway construction by our Honorable Road Transport and Highway Minister, Mr. Nitin Gadkari. Furthermore, NHAI has recently announced to set a target of awarding 4,500 kilometers of national highway in FY21. This creates future visibility towards enhancing our order book. The government proactively came up with a slew of measures to provide required impetus to the sector during the current challenging phase. To highlight a few, with the aim to boost the investment from private sector in BOT projects, the revised model concession agreement has been proposed. The order for highway projects will be issued by only post 90% of the land acquisition to avoid any disputes at a later stage. Also, the revenue assessment of BOT projects will be done after 5 years. This will enable readjustment of the concession period during the drastic change in toll collections. We believe this shall make the BOT projects lucrative during the going forward. As liquidity remains a major concern for the industry, the ministry has recently commented that banks have promised to support the infrastructure sector. Also, Ministry of Road Transport and Highways and the NHAI have adopted faster payment mechanisms and shifted from milestone-based payments to a monthly payment mode to provide much required liquidity for the sectors, which are really under a cash crunch. This will help infrastructure developers in retaining their order book growth and momentum in execution. Now coming to the company's performance during the quarter. Given the execution loss during COVID-19 lockdown, followed by limited labor availability, the overall construction activity has been muted in the first quarter, and the impact of which is reflected in the financial results during the quarter gone by. During these difficult times, our focus continues on improving operating efficiency, adopting stringent cost control measures, and safeguarding our profitability. We have intensified our focus on improving our construction activity, resulting in much faster recovery in operating activity. Presently, we are operating around 85% operational efficiency. Also, remobilization of labor has been faster than expected, and we have achieved around 90 to 95% of our labor strength back at our sites. We expect to reach pre-COVID levels in near term. On BOP projects, we have reached approximately 90% pre-COVID toll collections. We expect the same to reach back to normalcy with the overall revival of economy. Central government's various slew of measures like loan moratorium, releasing due payments within stipulated time frame, releasing pro rata bank guarantees for the value of the extent of project work completed, reduction in interest rates, allowing grace period for payments of government duties and taxes to provide overall liquidity to the sector. We have made a detailed assessment of our liquidity position and do not foresee any challenges in managing our working capital requirements and servicing the debt. Now coming to the order book, the company's total order book on 30th June 2020 stands at 8,617 crores. The breakup of the order book is as follows. Road projects comprise around 6,923 crores, which is 80.3% of the total order book. Among the road projects order book, HAM projects are to the tune of 4,680 crores and EPC projects are 2,243 crores. Power T&D and others comprise around 769 crores, which is 8.9% of the total order book. Railways contribute around 867 crores, which is 10.1% of the total balance order book. And CGD is around 59 crores. That is all from my side. I would now request Paresh Mehta to present the financial performance of Q1 FY21.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. The result presentation and the press release for the quarter have been uploaded on the stock exchanges and on the company's website. I believe you all may have gone through the same. Now I will present the financial results for quarter ended 30th June 2020. As all of us are aware, the lockdown that has imposed to contain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic has adversely affected the company's operations and the financial results of the quarter ended 30th June 2020. Hence, the results of this quarter are not comparable with corresponding quarter last year or comparative quarters of previous years. Starting with the consolidated results, the total income of Q1 FY21 stands at 793 crores. The EBITDA stood at 278 crores in Q1 21 with a margin of 35.1%. Coming to the standalone numbers, the total income for Q1 FY20 stands at 621 crores. EBITDA for the quarter was at 130 crores and EBITDA margin was at 21%. The higher margin is mainly on account of few projects reaching completion stage, releasing contingency provisioning considered at the start of the project, and higher other incomes, which included insurance claim receipt of around 5 crores. The company reported profit after tax of rupees 69 crores in Q1 FY21. PAT margin stood at 11%. During Q1 FY21, BOP division recorded a toll collection of 133 crores. Total consolidated debt as on 30th June 2020 is at 5,581 crores, of which project debt is 5,342 crores, including 150 crores of NCDs at ACL level. The standalone debt is rupees 238 crores, which comprises of 211 crores of equipment loans and rupees 27 crores of working capital loans. With this, we now open the floor for question and answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one now. The first question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. Congratulations on a good set of numbers given the COVID situation. Sir, given as you mentioned that the labor availability has improved and execution has ramped up, is there some kind of guidance you can give for FY21? And if you are not giving any reason, why so?
We have to. Yeah, please, sir. We have to see the year by. Presently, things appear to be moving on track. We are going back on normalcy. So, keeping in view the turnover loss in the first quarter, and this quarter being as it is a lower performance quarter, we will try to catch up in the second half and try to achieve at least a 1x of the last year's turnover, minimum that much, and keep a higher target of 1.1x.
Understood, sir. And sir, how is the ramp up of the execution in various order like Bundelkhand and especially the newer HAM projects? Have you got the site handed over? Is it ramping up nicely? Bundelkhand, I believe is happening pretty fast, right?
Yeah, these are fast-moving projects, Bundelkhand and Mumbai Expressway.
What are the new HAM projects? The new one, the Kandi-Ramsanpalle and the Tumkur-Shivamogga Package 3?
Yeah, Shivamogga 1 and 2 have started. 3 and 4 we are yet to take appointed date, which we expect to take around October. Sometime in October we may get appointed date for Shivamogga Part 3 and 4.
Understood. One last question, sir, on the toll collection. Is it fair to say that our collection has reached to 2.4 crore on a daily basis?
Yeah. So they are almost at 90% of collection on an overall basis. So your number is close to that, and we believe that as the economy totally revives, the expected toll collection with some growth should pick up in the coming quarters.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, and best of luck, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one now. The next question is from the line of Vijay Kumar from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Right. Good afternoon, sir. So my first question is on the cumulative cash outgo over the next 2 years, say in FY22 and 23 in the assets. So if you can give the cash outgo that you have estimated for, say, equity and interest and, say, debt repayment, if you can give that for 22 and 23 for the assets.
So on the asset side, for the HAM projects, we have already, till date, we have already invested 56 crores. And during the balance part of the year, we will be approximately spending 225 crores in the existing HAM projects. And in the next year, that is 21-22, we'll end up spending approximately 160 crores.
And how about the interest overall for all the assets for 22 and 23 and also debt repayment?
That probably we could come offline. I don't have those numbers directly. So approximately we have a debt of around 5,500 crores. So approximately an outlay of 550 crores are on the existing debt, and another debt pickup of around say 1,000 crores. So around 600 crores of interest payment would be there on all projects, including HAM projects.
I'll probably get in touch with you offline to get the granularity. Essentially, I'm trying to find out if the internal accruals from the assets, is it enough to fund the cash outgo for the next 2 years? That's the objective.
Yeah, okay.
Sure, sir. I will get back to you. Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vibhor Singhal from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for taking my question. So just two questions from my side. Sir, in terms of the HAM project, we mentioned that we have already taken we already received the COD for Kharar Ludhiana last month, in the month of April. So basically, what is the status on the remaining work that is pending in Kharar Ludhiana? Because I can see around 196 crores of work left in the order book. And also on the Anandapuram project, when do we expect the COD to be received?
So the Anandapuram is the next project which is coming for PCOD in the next month. So that way we will achieve. And the balance other 5 projects we are expecting in the next year after October.
Okay, so what I meant to say is, sir, when are we expecting the COD for Anandapuram project? I mean, next quarter or what time?
Should come by September end.
September end.
Yeah.
And both these projects, sir, Kharar Ludhiana and Anandapuram, the remaining work that is left in these projects, around 196 and 159 crores, we should be able to complete it this year itself. Do you foresee that?
Before 31st March.
Before 31st March.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. So the last question is on the debt side. The debt has actually come down, as you see, from Q4 to Q1 level, at a standalone level that I'm talking of. So just wanted to get your perspective on that. Has this quarter seen a decent cash flow and payments by the government bodies? And how is the kind of payment cycle as of now? Are we seeing any delays by any of the government bodies, either on the power T&D segment or in the road segment per se?
Except for a couple of one or two employers, I think so. NHAI definitely has been very prompt in making payments. So we have no, and with the policies they have come up with, monthly billing and intermittent 10% payment in the grant release. It has definitely helped the cash flows of the company. So our debt, which has typically was around 399 crores on a standalone as of 31st March, has gone to 237. Is basically cash utilized from cash balances as of 31st March, and reduction in payment of CP and the refund of term loans of equipment. Achieving the repayment schedule of term loans. So we have not claimed any moratorium for our equipment loans. We have paid them on time.
Right. And sir, any delay in payment from any of the power T&D orders, UP, Jharkhand, or Bihar or Maharashtra?
So not really much. Maybe on UP there is a slow, but that lag is there for quite some time, more than, it's not related to COVID. So I think that they get resolved over a period of time. So slightly lumpy payments, but then they come in 2-3 months time.
So sir, so this last thing, if I can just squeeze in, you mentioned in your opening remarks about the way the new model completion agreement is being shaped up and the overall BOT projects, NHAI is trying to make them more attractive. So are we open to bidding for BOT projects in near future if it suits our investment criteria?
Yeah, we selectively look at projects. If we really find they're attractive projects, then we do participate.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you so much for taking my question, sir, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Shah from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. So the first question is on the numbers for the quarter as such. So we've seen some bit of improvement in the gross margins for the quarter, as well as we've been able to cut a lot of expenditure on the other expenses side. So just wanted to understand how much of this is sustainable and the benefit will continue in the coming quarters, or we'll probably revert to a normal level in the quarters to come. Because given the level of execution, the margins actually were very strong at about 14.5%.
Yeah. So basically, definitely from activity perspective, there was lower activity. A lot of admin expenses have been controlled and reduced also because of lower activity, which will probably increase as turnover increases. So our guidance on the EBITDA margin will continue to be remaining on 12.5 to 13%. As already spoken earlier, that margins are looking higher in this quarter, basically because of two reasons. One is other incomes, which are higher by 5 crores on account of insurance, and 5 crores also, an additional 5 crores on account of restructuring of equipment loan in one of our portfolios. And also on the turnover side, because of certain projects which are coming to a fag end, there have been release in the contingency reserves which we had provided for, like Kharar and Ranasthalam.
Okay. Sorry, sir, can you elaborate on this restructuring of the equipment loan? I wasn't very clear on that.
So it was more of so we had a loan from Shree as for equipment loan of around 65 crores, which was taken over by ICICI Bank from Shree. In the course of their taking over, they have increased the interest. So interest on that 65 crores were around say 4%, which was taken over by ICICI with at a lower value with a higher interest rate. NPV wise, it doesn't impact us, but from an accounting wise, for the quarter, there is a reduction in the loan amount by 5 crores.
Sure. Sir, also in terms of the FC, the financial closure for Tumkur Shimoga 3, 4 and Kandi Ramsanpalle. So where are we on that? Are we, have we completely closed on the financing side? Are we just waiting for the appointed dates, or the financial closure is still pending?
So the financial closure of all the three are still pending. For the Kandi project, we have already received sanctions and we are in the documentation stage. And for the TS3 and TS4, we are in the process of getting the sanctions in place. They're already with the bankers in the last leg. Due to the COVID situation, the way the meetings are happening at the bankers' end also slightly slow. So otherwise, in normal course, we would have achieved that some time back. But we believe that we'll achieve it in the next 1.5 months' time.
Sure. So by October, the financial closure should be done. And what is the land status in all of these three?
Pardon, sir?
What is the land status, land available for TS3, 4 and Kandi?
So Kandi, the land position is substantially good. On the
TS3 is also good. And TS4, we have just 50% land. So TS4 really needs to make up. Otherwise, TS3 has a good amount of land, more than 80% available.
Okay.
And Kandi also has more than 80%.
Got it. So lastly, what is the net debt number? So we know the gross debt, but if you can help with the cash balance or the net debt number, whichever way.
So the net debt number on the standalone could be approximately
if you have the cash balance, you can just give that.
63 crores only.
63.
So we have a standalone debt of 238 crores and cash balance of 179 crores.
Okay.
So that's approximately 63. And on the the net debt position would be approximately 5,075.
Thank you.
Total debt of 5,580, less cash and bank balance of 505.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, operator.
The next question is from the line of Parvez Akhtar Qazi from Edelweiss Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Couple of questions from my side. So, just wanted to get it correct. We have infused about 56 crore equity in Q1. Did I get the number right?
Correct, sir.
Sir, what was the breakup of revenue between different segments this quarter?
On the segment side, on the road sector, we had approximately 475 crores of turnover. On the power side, around 35 crores. On the railways, around 37 crores.
In terms of order intake, what are we targeting this year? And I mean, what could be the broad breakup amongst various segments that we have?
So road sector, we should be able to easily bag around 3,000 to 4,000 crores of orders. And then railways, we are expecting 1,200 crores. Power, we are not very optimistic of any substantial incoming orders.
Sure, sir. Thanks. That's it from my
So
side.
overall, we should do around 4,000 to 5,000 crores. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one now. The next question is from the line of Shivang Joshi from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. So I wanted to understand whether we have taken moratorium at the SPV level as well.
Yeah, at the standalone level, we have not taken any moratorium. So we continue to release all our debts to the way they are. On the SPV level, we have taken moratorium for the principal amount. The interest amount, to the extent possible, we are paying. Otherwise, it has to be paid in the next H2. So on the principal amount, except for Jaora project, we have opted for moratorium.
Okay. And so since the moratorium will be getting over in August, and since our toll levels are already reached, so we are comfortable for paying the principal portion as well from the next month, right?
No. For a correction, the moratorium for principal is so the total loan period gets extended.
Okay. Got it.
As far as interest is concerned, it is only a deferment. So interest will be serviced through the cash flows of the toll revenue.
Okay. Further, sir, wanted to get an update on whether the SBI Macquarie negotiations have restarted, since the toll revenues are already at 90% pre-COVID level.
Yeah. So as far as the SBI Macquarie exit or monetization of assets process was going on, definitely the potential bidder which was there in March, he's still on hold. So they have probably kept on hold all investments for at least up to August end. But in the meanwhile, we've also started talking to other investors who were there in the fray in the past to have a relook, and they are probably looking at giving a offer anytime in the coming month.
In the coming month.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. I think my other questions have been answered. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one now. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity once again, sir. Sir, firstly on the receivables, we had a decent amount of receivable from the T&D sector. Are you seeing any kind of liquidation plan, given that their situations, I think, at the margin are improving with the new discount liquidity scheme?
So the receivables continue to be They've improved a bit, but they continue to be at the similar levels. So these are all receivables from the recent billings done in the last 4 months. So that is the payment cycle, how it works. So I think we are quite confident that these receivables get paid off.
What is number right now from the T&D?
From the T&D and railway put together, it would be approximately 600 odd crores, 650 crores, including retention and SC.
Okay, understood, sir. And secondly, sir, on the railway side, are you seeing a larger traction in terms of order activity?
Yes, and basically RVNL and core are throwing up a lot of opportunities. So definitely we hope we will be able to participate in back certain tenders.
How was it in last 4 months? Was it dull in last 4 months and expect a pick up in the next 8 months?
No, the bidding was on with almost everybody, including railways. So we're already participating in 3 bids. We're expecting results. The roads also we have participated more than around 300 kilometers. So we're expecting some of the results in coming weeks.
Okay, understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mayank Paswani, individual investor. Please go ahead.
So my first question is, sir, on the compensation for the impact of COVID. What would you think is if you could possibly quantify the compensation that you would receive both on the tolling side as well as the construction business, and if you could just walk us through the accounting treatment for the same.
So what we expect in the NHI's circulars is that they are presently only given the benefit of extension of the concession period. So it's like whatever 22 days we have lost will be added to the concession period.
Right.
So there is no cash compensation. Definitely we are trying to ask for a compensation on the expenses incurred, but till date they have not confirmed anything on that side. So that is slightly a grey area. On the accounting side, what we have typically done, we have not recognized any toll revenue for the 22 days, though there is an extension of expected extension of the toll concession period by 22 days, as plus some other days due to the lower collection in the balance in the month of April, May, and June. So that revenue is not recognized. We are recognizing toll revenue as actual what is collected in the quarter. And the amortization is based on the extended concession period of the project.
Right. So that number has been adjusted accordingly, sir, the amortization number?
Correct. Right.
Right. So second question, I'm sorry I missed possibly some of the quantification in your opening remarks. So you had split up the other income into insurance, restructuring of term loan for equipment, and release of some contingency provision. Now for the, sir, I think the breakup, your total other income for the quarter is 31 crore on a consolidated basis.
Right.
So I believe you mentioned 5 crore for the term loan equipment restructuring. So could you split up the balance 26 crores? Sir?
And insurance would be approximately 5 crores.
Right.
And approximately interest paid to interest around 17 crores.
Right.
Interest earning from associates and bank FDs.
Right. And the balance would be the contingency provision. Would that be about I think 4 crores?
But that is not part of the other income. That is more from a part of the EBITDA.
Okay. Understood. And sir, just one last housekeeping question, if I may. There is a note in your accounts which says that the financials have been prepared on the basis of the uncertainties under the quarter, and the impact of the pandemic in the future may be different from those estimated. I mean, this seems like a general note, sir, but is there any specific assumption that you would be able to flag out, which possibly may be revisited in the future once we get a better handle on the impact of the pandemic?
At this moment, we cannot identify anything. What we have typically done is in our budgets, we have provided for any impact of COVID in the coming 8 to 10 months. That expenditure we have provided for, so that when the work gets executed, and increased cost is part of the provisioning in the budget. But otherwise, there is no. It's a provision created. We probably will have to wait for another 2 quarters to see whether the pandemic has still more an impact on the profitability. Otherwise, those reserves created could get released after say 2 to 3 quarters.
Right, sir. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Jiten Rushi from Axis Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Thanks for taking my question. Sir, on the equity front, sir, as you said, you have invested 56 crore in Q1. So can you just give us the total equity requirement invested so far and how much likely to be invested in next 2 to 3 years for HAM projects?
So as I said, the total equity invested in all the HAM projects, including the our annuity projects at APL level, is approximately 700 crores, of which if you reduce the investments made at the APL standalone projects, which are smaller annuity projects of 140 crores, the total investment is around 560 crores.
560 crores for HAM projects. Okay.
Right.
And balance requirement would be how much? Including
balance, as I said, is 225 crores in the balance period and 150 crores in 21-22 for the existing HAM projects. Around 325 crores.
Okay. And sir, on the APL portfolio with the Macquarie, what is the interest value, that is the equity and the debt portion? Can you give us the breakup as on date, as on June?
At the ACL level, the total equity is approximately to the tune of around 1860 crores, and debt is the NCD which we have borrowed at ACL of 150 crores.
So I'm asking about the SBI Macquarie portfolio. What is the EV of that portfolio of 7 assets? So equity invested and the outstanding debt.
Okay. So that would be approximately around, I think so it's 5,500 crores of debt plus equity value of 1,800 crores.
Including loss funding, right, sir?
Including loss funding, no. Then that would be another, say, 800 crores. Loss funding or any other asset. So amount funded by ABL, the total value is around 8,100 crores. Enterprise value.
This is the value of the ACL assets with the SBI Macquarie, right, sir? 8,100 crore. If I may ask you again, I'm sorry, I'm asking you the same question, but
that's right.
Hello.
Yeah.
So 8,100 crore is, I think that should be the total ACL value, I believe.
Yeah. Enterprise value.
I'll take it offline, no problem. So what is the capex requirement this year and mobilization advance and retention outstanding as of June?
So capex requirement for the balance period is approximately 70 odd crores. We'll have to see how the capex will actually pan out depending on how work picks up. But the budget rate is approximately 70 crores.
Any mobilization advances and retention outstanding, if you can provide the number, please.
Approximately the mobilization advance would be to the tune of 360 crores. Including other advances also.
The retention would be how much, sir?
Retention would be approximately 196 crores.
And sir, on the arbitration front, last quarter you had said that we have got some claims outstanding of 550 crore in 4 projects. So we had approached the reconciliation committee. So any outcome so far, sir?
No outcome. We have approached NHI and reconciliation process with the committees they have appointed now. So reconciliation would start now in this month.
So conclusion expected in probably next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, they take at least 2 to 3 months to decide on the.
Okay. So last question on that revenue, that loan restructuring you're talking about. So we have booked 5 crore in the other income, right, sir? Because of the restructuring of equipment loan.
Correct.
Okay, sir, that's it from my side. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Subhadip Mitra from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Firstly, just wanted to get a sense on this release in contingency reserve, which you're saying is part of EBITDA. Can you just quantify what that amount is?
Could not get you. What was that, sir?
I'm saying the contingency reserve release, which you're saying is part of EBITDA. What would be that amount?
It's not really quantified. It's all more on the total budget of each project. We cannot really quantify not quantified. Anything in the range of 2 to 3% of it. 2% around of the turnover.
2% of 1Q turnover. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yeah. 2% approximately of the Q1.
Yeah, Q1 overall turnover. That's how we should look at it, or only the BOT part?
Overall, you can look at it.
Overall, okay, understood. And secondly, just a macro question. This is on by when do you see the NHAI ordering or the award process accelerating? Because we understand that the tendering process has been actively on. However, I think NHAI's own process of raising money for something like the Mumbai-Delhi corridor, etc., seem to be getting delayed. So, do you sense some delays because of the funding constraints on the NHAI side, or do you see things really picking up now?
See, whatever they have decided around 4,500 kilometers of award, that certainly looks happening. Because 3,200 is already announced. So out of that, 1,400 kilometers of bidding is already done. 1,800 is which we are likely to see up to September. So in H1 itself, they are crossing more than 3,000 kilometers.
Okay, so this will be bidding for 3,000 kilometers, which should get completed by 1H itself. That's what you meant.
Yeah, in H1 itself, they will be completing the bidding.
Okay.
3,000 kilometers, which includes NHAI, MRTH, and NHIDCL.
Understood. And so, what is the rough mix that you're saying between, say, HAM and EPC in this basket?
See, what we have seen is HAM is little more than EPC. Around 60% is HAM projects, and 40% still EPC projects are coming up.
Understood. And we don't foresee any big constraints or aversion from the banking industry for new HAM projects, do we?
So, on the funding for HAM projects, definitely the challenges are there in the sector, and because of the reduction of the number of bankers also, because of the merger, that challenge continues. So, the better players will continue to have bankers chasing them, but that challenge is going to be there. But I think so, depending on NHAI's annuity guarantee, I think they'll still keep on funding.
Understood. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ankita Shah from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Sir, I wanted to check, sir, is there any risk to funding of Delhi-Mumbai Expressway project given NIIF has parted ways with NHAI to fund and support the project? And any risk to our project also that we are doing on this stretch?
No, I don't think
the project which we are executing, there is absolutely payment has been made.
So then, then what's the plan of NHAI to fund this project? Because it was understood that NIIF would be supporting this project.
I'm not able to comment on this.
Okay. So as of now, there is no issue in payments on this stretch.
As of now, absolutely no issues.
Okay. And so secondly, what are the margins that we make in railway projects, typically the ones that we get from RVNL?
They continue in the range of, say, 9 to 10%.
9 to 10%. Okay. Sure. Thank you so much, sir. That's it.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Parvez Akhtar Qazi from Edelweiss Securities. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking up my follow-up question. So two questions. One, did we incur any capex in Q1? And the second, was there any toll hike on any of the projects that we received in Q1?
No significant capex in Q1. And as far as toll hike is concerned, not in Q1. Whatever happened was as of 1st April. So all NHAI projects, except for Bhandara and Durg, where the toll hike is in 1st September, they have received increment in the toll rates by almost in the range of 3.5%, and on the Jaora project of 7%.
Sure, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
So, thank you very much. We thank all the participants for joining on this call. If you have any further queries, we are open for any clarifications. You may connect with us directly or through our investor relations, Stellar Investor Relations. Thank you. We wish you all good health.
Thank you. Thank you all the participants.
Thank you. Mr. Shah, would you like to add any closing comments?
No, thank you all the participants for participating in the call. And I once again thank the management for giving us an opportunity to host the call. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of Prabhudas Lilladher, that concludes today's conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.